What's up, Pawn family? It's Yigal. Thank you so much for being here today. I know this is very, very last minute. I just wanted to make sure that we got this information out because I know that it's very, very important. A lot of you have questions on insurance. What's happening? Is it covered? Is it not covered? And so I called my friends Scott, Seth last minute. I also called a couple of other people, but I didn't get a response. So we've got Seth Ward and Scott Sweeney who are going to jump in live with us to talk about everything insurance, what's happening, what they're hearing, phone calls that they're getting from their clients. So without further ado, let me bring them on. Seth, Scott, what's going on, brothers? How are you guys doing?
Hey, Yigal, how's it going?
Good, Scott.
There you go. Everybody's good. Yep.
Good, awesome, man. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this so last minute. I appreciate it. If you're watching us live, let me know in the comments where your store is. It'll help us kind of with the conversation. Seth, if you want to kind of, I'll start with Seth. You're with Union Life and Casualty Insurance. Scott, you're with Marshall and Sterling, correct? Seth,
Correct.
what are you hearing on the ground, man? You're getting lots of phone calls. Tell me a little synopsis of what you see happening, and then we'll talk about what people should be doing to get as prepared as possible.
First, I just like to say that, and I'll try to keep myself together. What's going on is absolutely heartbreaking. Just everything that's happening is, it's so devastating. It's so devastating. The phone calls that I know Scott's getting them too, it's I always say Pawn family and Yigal says Pawn family, and that's the truth. We are a family, and there's really not a lot that you can do, and to hear, to be on the phone with these people and they're watching their stores get looted. They're watching their personal belongings, the pictures of their kids, their grandkids, get ripped off the walls and taken. It's just devastating. And it's dozens and dozens of stores. It's not 3 or 4 stores. And it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Scott, what are you hearing from
I share and echo Seth's comments. It's been a tough day, all weekend, quite frankly. Text, emails, phone calls from our clients, wanting to share what's going on, and now Monday morning the reality sets in, and you start to see the damage that's been done, and you just talk to your clients who are panicked, emotional, and upset, and it's you can't help but get emotional, and you feel it's already tough enough that we have a pandemic going on, and then you throw this on top of it. So but we try to be there for our clients and try to answer the questions that they have, and try to comfort them and just say, hey, listen, we got your back here. And so the main question that we've received all day and over the weekend is am I covered for this? What happens if I get looted at my store? So aside from the people that have gotten hit, the short answer is you're covered. A business owner policy, an insurance policy, provides coverage for rioting, civil commotion, and vandalism. And everybody's policy is a little different, so you need to read those fine details. But it's important to reach out to your insurance provider right now and have a discussion. And that discussion will lead you to a peace of mind. It's also important to realize that nobody's life is worth it. Taking. So that's why you buy the insurance. So understanding how you're covered, what kind of deductibles you have, what kind of provisions are in your policy, as it relates to a certain situation like this, is important. It will put you at some sort of peace of mind that if, God forbid, something happens, I have coverage.
Got it. Thanks,
or I know where I stand.
Got it. Seth, so, I mean, one of the questions that Scott talked about is, am I covered? What else are you hearing when somebody gets on the phone with you? What other questions are coming up?
You know, what they should do once they've been hit. You know, what do I do? You know, I just got to my store and, you know, there's a truck through the front glass, you know, and there's still some stuff in there. What do I do? You know, and what you want to do is secure the building as best as you can to try to prevent further loss. You know, try to get a hold of your alarm company, see if they can't get somebody out there to try to make sure that the alarm, again, is functioning properly. You know, and the one thing I'd say right now, no matter what, don't go to your store alone. You know, if that alarm goes off, you know, it's not time for you to be Rambo and think you're going to go down there and get everybody out of your store. And, you know, yeah, try to prevent further loss as best you can. You know, and I think we can talk a little bit more about preparing for your store to be looted. I think it's important that, and I said this in the mastermind, I called everybody out and I told them, I said, your stores are going to get looted. What are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do to prepare? Because if you think your store's not going to get looted, why don't you call up the 3 dozen stores that have been looted and ask them what they thought.
Yeah. So let's talk about, let's get into that right now. You know, people who have the insurance coverage, obviously, hopefully everybody watching has insurance coverage, maybe with you guys or with somebody else. What should they be do to prepare, Scott? What's a couple of things that they need to do to have the things handy, have some peace of mind so that if something happens, God forbid, when they give you a call, they're more prepared?
Scott, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Well, you have things that you can do, you know, to mitigate and before a loss occurs, and then you have things, like Seth said, that happen after the loss occurs. And so, you know, certainly before the loss, you do not want to be advertising your merchandise to the public eye. So, taking extra special precautions to make sure that jewelry and firearms are out of sight. Even, you know, merchandise that normally isn't put away at night, consider either at least covering or moving out of sight to not invite the people into your store. Also, a good time to take photographs of all of your store. Document, okay? Make sure you have off-site backups of all of your inventory, okay? You know, if the computers go down with the store and it's not backed up off premise, you know, you're going to have a hard time duplicating your records, and that could slow the claims process or just make it a more difficult process than it needs to be. Okay, and then you have your post loss. Like Seth said, you need to do what you can to mitigate any future loss. Okay, we've had a lot of people who've been hit and vandalized currently, but their safes have remained intact, thankfully. And so now what they're doing is they're going into the stores and removing the contents of the safe and then taking it, you know, to another location or to a bank or somewhere else. And so if that's something that you need or want to do, you know, you need to pick up the phone and talk to your insurance, because you cannot just assume that your insurance will provide or extend coverage for that inventory, merchandise, or cash at another location or somewhere else.
Love it. Thanks, Scott. Seth, what about you, man? What are some things that, and I know Scott Sawyer says there's no peace of mind. I agree. But I think that, you know, prepared is better. You know, being proactive is better than reactive. What else can the pawnbrokers do?
So as much as we want to detail some of the things that the pawnbrokers can do to move their merchandise to different locations, this is a public forum and people have access to it. And so I discussed this a little bit with Scott. It's really important that you just reach out to us and we can talk about the where and best practices as far as moving the merchandise to other locations and how we can provide coverage for that. I don't think it would be worthy to spell out that. Obviously, there's minimal risk on here. I get it, but still, we want to take the safety of the safety of the industry is number one. And so, but certainly there's options. There's options, and because of what's going on, we're able to do things that we typically wouldn't be able to do to help you guys and protect the inventory. So,
and by the way, if you guys are watching and have a question, just put a Q in the question so we know that you guys want to ask the question. So lots of stores are getting hit. Obviously, I'm hearing from the mastermind member stores have gotten hit. Other stores have gotten hit. Are you guys seeing? Is there kind of like, if you're in the downtown area, people are getting hit more, or is it just kind of like more like there's just no sequence to it? Doesn't matter where you are, people are getting hit. What are you seeing, Scott, from the phone calls that you're getting?
Sure. Main actual problem, claim activity, is trending in major inner cities. I would put right now as Chicago and the south side of Chicago specifically as a war zone. And we have had a large number of claims coming from that area. New York City, Philadelphia has been hard hit from our perspective. Florida has been hard hit. But that's what we're seeing. But we're getting calls from all around the country in very rural areas and in the big cities, and the environment, the people are scared out there and nervous, and I feel for them.
Yeah. Seth, when we had a conversation weeks ago, you were talking about the looting, and what are you seeing? Is there, like what Scott's saying, is it kind of like the major city? Are there smaller cities being hit? I mean, when we're having conversations in the Pawn Leaders community, some small cities are seeing peaceful protests, and then the bigger cities are getting hit hard with a lot of the looting and the panic. What are you seeing?
So it seems like it obviously it started in a big city, and the other big cities are kind of following suit. We're seeing it move out. Like LA was an area, a hot spot, and then moved out to San Bernardino last night. I know I saw a message where somebody asked me if it was true that a pawnbroker was killed in San Bernardino. I have yet to confirm that. But even the smaller stores are now starting to get hit. And in particular, one in San Bernardino. And so, who knows how far this is going to extend. I've got a client in Wisconsin that it's a smaller community, and he showed the live video today. They came for his store, and they got to the front glass, and they saw that he had the roll down gates. And next door is a liquor store. And while they were getting ready to come into his pawn shop, they had made access to the liquor store, and so that was enough for them to not go into a store. That's tonight. That was last night. Mm-hmm. So, do I think it's going to go to the smaller communities? Yeah, I do, because these opportunistic. What's the word?
Opportunistic.
There you go. People are taking advantage, and word spreads that there's a lot of valuables and quick and easy money in the pawn shops. I think one of the masterminds posted that he's already seen his stuff is on OfferUp.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother nightmare, and could be a completely separate podcast or live about talking about how we're all going to deal with all this stolen merchandise coming in on pawn.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that in a week. But
right.
But I mean, yeah, you're right. Somebody already saw it, because and they're seeing their tags on it. There's just not like, oh, I think that's my drill. It's like the store's tag was, and the price tag was still on it, so they knew for sure. Yeah. So again, guys, if you guys are watching live, want to post a question, please do. This is the time to ask. I urge you to call your insurance agent, whether it's Scott, Seth, anybody out there. Make sure that you're asking questions. Make sure that you know your policy. I'm going to talk from experience. I know a lot of times that we get in a policy, we just sign it and send it in, like, leave me alone. Here it is. Here's my check and take care of it. This is a good time to go through the policy and see what's covered, what's not, what you got with coverage. Another question I have for you guys is, I know that some people are probably calling you guys to up their coverage at the moment. And I'm guessing that insurance has kind of stopped or capped upping of coverage because of what's happening, and rightfully so. If a pawnbroker feels like now is the time to up their coverage, I think it's just, a hair too late. So I want to be appreciative of you guys and those in the industry who have been calling out to up your coverage, to get coverage. And for those of you who can't up their coverage at this time, don't be angry with the insurance agent. There's no way that at the moment they're going to do that, and that's just not fair, in my opinion. Any comments on that, if you guys can?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, listen, we're your advocate. Okay. So if we can get it done, we'll get it done. But to your point, I would say that a very large number of our customers check the box and say, just renew, keep everything the same. And they set it and forget it. That's insurance in general. Nobody likes insurance. They to buy it. They don't like to pay for it. They don't understand it.
I love to pay for it.
And so, that's what we're here for. That's why I have a job here. And we want our customers to call us and engage us and have a discussion, because it's important for us to make you understand what you're buying. And so when something does hit the fan, you can rest a little bit more easy. Okay. I know that may sound cheesy, but that's how we run our business. And there's a lot of truth in that. And, it's times like this that really test the insurance, and thankful that, you've spent all that money over the course of, decades paying for insurance that you've never had to use. And all of a sudden you have an unprecedented pandemic on top of unprecedented rioting that tests this policy that you buy. And I tell you, there's no cost in picking up the phone and having a discussion with Seth, whether you work with us or not. Better to be educated than not.
Yeah. Seth, any comments?
I can kind of add to that trying to call up and buy a bunch of insurance right now is going to be tough.
Very tough.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got programs like Scott and mine that where we have a large customer base, and many of them have suffered substantial losses. The carriers are going to put restrictions on writing new business. And so to Scott's point, if we can help you, we're going to do everything we can to help you. And I think for a lot of those pawnbrokers that are out there, because I know you're out there, that have said insurance is a waste of money, we're still willing to answer the phone. We're still willing to try to give you advice to try to help you minimize the loss that you're going to have that's not going to be insured because you chose to not have insurance. We're still here to help you. It doesn't, give us a call. Whatever we can do to help you, we're going to do that. And, just, it's scary. It's scary. And I know there's a lot of pawnbrokers out there that are scared, and there's a lot of pawnbroker employees that are scared. And so anything that you can do to try to communicate, please do it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask both of you a question really quickly. I'm sure that the pawnbrokers are scared 100%. Had a conversation with my brother today in Adiz about, my uncle who has 9 stores and just how to secure the premises. The other thing is the team is scared for sure. And as leaders, this is the pawn leaders, you've got to communicate with them, as Seth said, and have open and courageous communication. If you don't know what's going to happen, say, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're insured, and just go home and stay safe. Now, my other question to you guys is, what about the clients? In your opinion, I'm in the belief that you take a leadership role and you communicate to your clientele and say, hey, your stuff is secured, and we are taking measures, and we're insured. But your clients are probably afraid also, seeing different pawn shops looted and their merchandise and their grandmother's ring in there, that's going to be scary for them as well.
You know, I spoke to one of my guys in the Chicagoland, and I made the suggestion that he reach out to, 20 or 30 of his loyal customers and explain to them that they're doing everything they can to keep their merchandise safe. And if they could do everything they could to communicate with the community of how important, the pawn shops are, and to please don't target them, to do anything, any type of community outreach to try to get the message out that, that the pawn shops serve the community, and for them to go and destroy that, the end result is only going to increase the circle of harm.
Yeah, love it. Scott, anything on that?
I think Seth hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think that, communicating to your clients pre-loss is very important. Reiterating what you're doing to keep their inventory safe. And then, God forbid you did have a loss, that's when you bring everything in and deal with everybody on an individual basis, and not broadcast, the severity of your loss, and deal with the customers and say that you're working with your insurance company to have those items replaced. And it's also, again, going back to the insurance, talking to your insurance company and saying, well, if I got looted, how am I getting paid back? What does it look like? Am I getting the item replaced for me, or am I getting the cost of it?
The pawn amount.
So,
yeah.
Understanding that is important as well.
Awesome.
I want to bring up one really important point. There was a pawnbroker down in Florida that had a significant burglary, and he made a comment on one of the forums that he was pulling all the pawns and contacting the customers to let them know that their pawns were gone, and to come in and try to work something out. My advice to all of my clients is, you are not obligated to tell anybody that their pawn is missing, destroyed, stolen, whatever it is, until they come in with the principal plus the interest that's due, period. And that might not be a popular stance, but that's the truth. And we've had claims where people, and I know this, people aren't going to like this, where it was a $5,000 loan and the lady paid on it for another 5 years, the interest. And she finally came in and said, hey, I want to redeem my my pawn. And then they had to advise, hey, we need to replace that item for you.
Got it.
So that's just a bit of advice. It might not be the most popular one, but that's the advice that I give. So
I'm going to bring up a couple of questions here that are asked. We've got Vito here. Is there something in writing we can use or give to our customers to make them feel a little more at ease about items in pawn? So Vito, let me know, are you asking like as customers are walking at the moment, or current customers that have pawns in the store? Kind of like, what is, to give us some more clarity on that question if you're still watching. Because I think that giving, saying like, hey, here's a piece of paper, your items are secure. I don't want like premeditated fear to be put into. So he's saying current large customers. So is there anything they can give in writing that you guys recommend, or is there something that they can do, or that's kind of on the back of, like, that's what the contract's for? On the back of the contract, it states what needs to happen. Scott, Seth, either of you?
I would, that's a little bit more of a, perhaps a legal question. I think that, if it's a large customer, it's probably a trusted customer that you have a relationship with. And, from my experience, we have, we hear from our client base that a lot of people use pawn shops when they go away on vacation, just to keep their, jewelry more secure than it would be at their house. And most pawn shops have way better security than they do at their own home. So I think having that discussion and saying, your merchandise is, you certainly can tell them that we do cover or carry insurance. Your merchandise is placed in the safe. It doesn't leave the safe. So we are doing everything we can to within reason to protect your goods. And certainly God forbid if something happens, we have insurance to fall back on.
Gotcha.
And putting in writing, that's certainly something you might want to ask your attorney.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, Scott. This is a good time to call your attorney and say, hey, if this does happen, I know that I've called my insurance agent. I want to call my attorney. It's better to have a plan and not use it than to not have a plan and to have to create one on the fly. So
I think there's nothing wrong with telling or showing or providing your pawn clients with a statement that we purchase insurance to protect our customers' goods while in our possession, and we take the fact that you trust us with your goods seriously, and all available precaution is in place to protect your goods. Something to that extent, obviously you're not going to say, you get $1,000 loan, we're going to give you $3,500 or whatever. But the spelling out, in general, what you're doing to separate yourself from the competition.
Yeah, I think it's just great customer service.
Yeah,
right? Like letting them know that's what you do. Another question: have we seen a run on any of the shops because of fear of looting high dollar B goods?
Say that again.
Vito, asked the question with a little bit more clarity, brother. Sorry, it's hard to translate some people's questions. Michael Shuby says, Scott, you mentioned safe. Most pawn shops do not lock up loans, hard goods, etc., in safe, so it's still insured for customers. So I guess I'm going to ask if it's not locked up, is it insured?
Yes, it's insured. The comment was made that a lot of pawnbrokers will leave their firearms out at night. They'll cable them, but they won't either bring them into a gun room or put them in the safe. Some of them can't do that depending on how their store's set up. Some will leave certain jewelry items out. Some will take all their jewelry items and put them in the safe. Now is the time to pay extra special attention on how you are securing those items that are in full view. Your larger items or your electronics, your televisions, your tools, things like that, yeah, it's all covered for rioting, okay? But again, what we're trying to tell you is that you shouldn't, what you can do to keep people from peering into your store when it's closed and seeing things, low-hanging fruit, if you will, that would invite somebody into your store. So it's a risk mitigation technique to either cover your showcases, cover the guns that are cabled to the wall, cover some of the merchandise that may be very accessible to somebody from the outside, and not invite them into the store. God forbid you had a loss, the insurance would cover it.
Got it. Okay, so Vito's asking if now I got the question. Vito's asking if you guys have been hearing that people are coming in to redeem their merchandise, because of the fear of the looting. Have you guys heard anything like that?
Well, I think that we can all agree that the current loan balances across the country are at 7, 8, 9-year lows. Talked to one gentleman today, and he said he's 65% off from December right now. So if there is a run on people wanting to come redeem their stuff, I don't know that it would be any different than what's been happening the last 3 months.
Yeah.
It could just be that they're continuing to just come pick their stuff up with the money that they have. But yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Got it. All righty, guys. I want to thank you guys for your time. I'm sure you guys are stupid busy at the moment because of what's happening. So a big thank you to Seth Ward and Scott Sweeney. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'll ask this last question that Vito says. So Vito, I'm gonna have you call whoever your insurance agent is. It says, does any insurance company offer emergency balloon policies that can be purchased right away? So instead of answering that question, call either of these guys, whoever, or both of them, ask the question. Thank you guys once again, Seth and Scott. I appreciate you.
Hey, it's good to see you guys.
Take care.
Yeah, thanks. Be safe.
Paul and family, thank you so much for being on. For me, it's like Scott and Seth both said, this is a very troubling time for pawnbrokers. My brother's a pawnbroker, my uncle and my father are pawnbrokers. I care deeply about all of you, and I don't want you to see you guys get hurt or have this incredible loss that you're not prepared for. So please be proactive. If you don't think that you're gonna need to board up your windows, who cares? Go buy the wood. The last thing I would want is for you to have to go buy the wood and then it just be out at Home Depot or Lowe's. So, make sure that you're taking the precautions today, now. If you don't have a rolling down gate, call your company, get it done, put bars, do what you got to do, spend the money, make the investments so that it's just not going to be as bad as it's been for some of the people in the industry. With that, stay safe, stay healthy. Love you all, and I'll talk to you guys soon.